IT Insights InsurTalk. Interviews with insurance leaders about what matters to the industry.
Hi, my name is Ewa Banaś. Welcome to another episode of IT Insights InsurTalk series by Future Processing. February 2017. Insurance press is swarmed with predictions based on Carl Frey's study that robots are coming. And topping the list of jobs at risk of being automated are insurance underwriters, with 98.9% probability of being replaced by robots. 6 years have passed, and here we are. World Economic Forum marks insurance underwriters as those who are most likely to benefit from AI augmentation, since 100% of their tasks are likely to be augmented, the Jobs of Tomorrow report says. Today, my guest is Artur Niemczewski, Non-Executive Director at Chartered Insurance Institute. Glad to have you here, Artur.
Thank you, Eva. Pleasure to be here.
Today we'll have some mystery guest later on, as you know, but that's yet to be introduced. Before we do that, I've heard you're into extreme sports. Is that true?
Right. Someone has opened their mind. So indeed, I do spend my time in insurance, but outside insurance, my passion is kite surfing. So I've been kite surfing for over 20 years or 25 years ever since started. Unfortunately, so probably at a semi-professional level, unfortunately, it has two problems. Well, too many injuries, and it's not a corporate sport. So you cannot, you want to invite your insurance friends and colleagues to your corporates, but well, that's not insurance. So I was really, really pleased to accept the invitation of Future Processing to the Lloyd's Regatta, which is much calmer than kite surfing.
Definitely.
You can focus on team building and really learning from the best, your pole blowers. What did I do here? Double world champion in sailing.
Exactly.
So sadly, I'm too old. My kite surfing days are over, but I'm looking forward to learning from Paul.
Perfect. I'm sure that there will be many occasions to do that. And how did you actually get involved into insurance?
Right. Everybody gets asked that question. He works in insurance, and most of the people say, "Oh, I happened to stumble upon it." But my background is different. So I'm an engineer by background. I'm a trained engineer. I have a PhD in nuclear engineering and a master in public policy of technology from Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And then insurance. So everybody looks at me and says, "What's a rocket scientist doing in insurance?" Right? But my friends say, "Look, we don't need a rocket scientist in insurance, but just in case, we have Arthur." Okay, but seriously, I really became passionate with insurance. I really love it because it is actually a very complex discipline, requires a lot of intellectual curiosity, things I learned as an engineer, statistics, understanding technology. So 25 years later, I'm still excited by it.
And how come you're so interested in technology, AI, underwriting area?
Confession.
Okay.
Confession. By trade in insurance, I'm a broker. So I was not an underwriter, but I'll come on to underwriting in a second. So I've been in charge of London market operations for Willis, and then I was chief executive at Marsh of the London market specialty division. So I was on the other side of the fence, but we were always have dialogue, understanding and misunderstanding with underwriters. And there was a big question, when 15, 20 years ago, we always tried to implement technology. And it kind of didn't work. So I sat on a committee. So I was representing brokers on what was then called the Market Reform Group, which became London Market Group. In the early days, tried to implement electronic trading tools, and constant battles, constant. So that's how I became interested, how does the other side work? Okay, perhaps it's an outside in, but spend a lot of time with underwriters and together try to solve these problems. How can we use technology for better outcome for our customers and make the whole insurance world, certainly here in London, more efficient and more effective? So AI, right? AI, of course, became a big wave about a year ago, November last year, when OpenAI released ChatGPT. But that's a topic we've been interested in at the Chartered Insurance Institute for quite a while, because one of our main purposes is ethics and professional behavior in the insurance profession. And some time ago, about 5 years ago, we published a digital code of ethics. How do you treat customer fairly? How do you behave in a professional manner in the world where digital tools all around you and are taking on some of the decision making? So I recently spoke at a major conference, InsurTalk Insights on the topic.
Yeah, I recall that.
Sparring with ChatGPT, and continue to help others and advise others. So I'm not an AI expert in terms of coding, but how does it impact the business processes? How do you integrate it with the business processes that it benefits your customer outcomes and the efficiency and effectiveness? So that's with my CII hat on. I've also served on a couple other boards, both traditional insurers and the startups, and advise a venture capital firm called Artur, who is a major investor in the InsurTech technology.
Thank you for that introduction. So, should we move on to the interview part, perhaps? And as I hinted before, we will have a special guest with us today.
Where is the special? No one's coming.
You don't have to look far away. It's just here. So today we have invited ChatGPT to join the chat, since, as I mentioned, robots are coming.
Robots are coming.
And are they really? Let's find out. So I asked ChatGPT to answer in the Matrix world, because why not? Robots are the theme after all. Yeah. And the first question will be to ChatGPT, but I'm actually curious about your opinion as well. So let's see what it says. Hi, Chat. How did the life of underwriter look like 5 years ago?
Ah, the underwriter of yesteryear, laboring in a cubicle maze, much like the Matrix itself. Poring over paperwork and spreadsheets, their life was an endless loop of assessing risks and premiums, punctuated only by the flicker of fluorescent lights and the mechanical clacking of keyboards. Fast forward to now, and the script has changed, but not by much. Automation and AI like me have infiltrated the space, but the core tasks remain. The illusion of progress in a system designed to keep you exactly where you are. How poetic, don't you think?
Indeed it is.
That's very impressive.
It is. So, Artur, how does it look like today, actually?
So actually, that description from your mystery friend is not too far off. The kind of complete with the flickering of the fluorescent lights. Yes, I can testify.
It was a nice touch.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice touch. So I'm going to come back to something else. You've quoted the two studies, and it's fascinating because we all read those studies, and it was unbelievable, right? 2017. Oh my gosh, the world is going to end. All the insurance jobs, in particular the underwriter, will be extinct, right? The underwriter.
Oh, there it is.
All right.
You're mixing elements like a rogue program tinkering with the Matrix.
Okay, I did not expect this.
The friend is listening.
Yes, it is. It's a bit scary, isn't it?
So, and then, of course, the most recent study by the World Economic Forum, it is actually the job that will most benefit for augmentation by AI. Fascinating, right? They're 6 years apart. And of course, I do subscribe to the latter category. What's the progress? So we go 5 years ago today and the future. So indeed, a lot of, and I focus on the role of the underwriter in the London market of a specialty risk, right? Because we can talk, if we have time, about the motor and household and commercial, but specialty risks. A lot of it, most of it is judgment. Most of it is understanding where the risks are coming from, even understanding which broker to trust, which not to trust, right? And that has been augmented by lots and lots of spreadsheets. You wouldn't believe, the size and the volume of spreadsheets. So the first innovation was the macros. Hooray! We can put in the macros in Microsoft Excel. The second invention was oh, let's cut a bit of a Python code, right? So there's you put it in a spreadsheet, you're still manual process, there's a bit of a Python code, comes the answer. What happens next, the person in one of my friendly insurance companies who built that spreadsheets and the Python has left, right? Moved to another company, and nobody knows how it works. So don't touch it. Don't touch it.
Yeah.
Just press a button and hope it gives you the right answer, right? Of course, you know, it is all augmented. So that's kind of the last 5 years. Then what's triggering the change today is the PPL, Placing Platform Limited, which is really been boosted by, to be honest, COVID or lockdowns, right? Silver lining. We all hated lockdowns, but that pushed people to use electronic means. Version 1 was very much just a means of communication, what they call now next generation, which has been recently released, is now transmitting lots more data. Okay, so then it prompts a lot of forward-thinking companies and the underwriters to say, actually, if we're receiving a lot of data electronically, we can now use electronic tools to speed up the underwriting process. The problem now is there's almost too many solutions because every startup, so I mentioned I've also worked on the startup side with a lot of insurtech. So every startup says, guess what? We're going to build an AI augmented rating engine. Guess what? Over here, we're going to build a workbench, an underwriting workbench to manage the workflow. And over here, we will build a data augmentation tools that will pull data from social media, from third-party databases, etc., right? And then a lot of companies in the specialty market starting building in-house solutions. So as an underwriter, I'm now sat here, I've got my old spreadsheet, right, remember, with a Python code, and then I have possibly some sort of a rating here, some engine here, some sort of a data augmentation here. And I'm lost. There's too many solutions. None of them are integrated. A lot of them are not talking to each other. And now instead of spending my day on a spreadsheet as an underwriter, I'm spending my day figuring out which tool does what. That's kind of today. So we're in this transition period.
Okay. So there are a lot of tools. They're not, they don't get along together, so to speak. And is there actually a way to optimize this whole process, to make it work? And to make underwriters' life easier? I
mean, what's a nirvana? I've once kind of, it's kind of imagine the world in, right? Exactly. Imagine the future. I don't know how to build it, but imagine the world. So if I'm a broker, and if I'm a broker, I want to have a single source of data and a good understanding of the risk. If I'm an underwriter, I want the same, right? So imagine a world, right, where I have almost like a single dashboard on my screen, and the risks are submitted electronically. There is a tool which does a triage, so essentially gives me red, amber, green, which says, red, these risks are outside my underwriting appetite or my company, so I'm not supposed to write them all together, right? So, so don't spend time on them. Green, clearly within the appetite, and there's a sufficient information where there could be a price derived based on already information in the system. Of course, you know, as an underwriter, I take the final judgment call. And then the amber ones in the middle, where I really need to spend my time, where there is guidance, but that's where my judgment and my human experience as an underwriter adds a real value. Where, for example, I need to ask more questions, add more data, add understanding from other fields. But even those in the amber category, ideally all the data is already analyzed. For example, you know, give you a good example. We were working on underwriting McDonald's in the US. And if you think about McDonald's, it's 10,000 properties across all of the US. And each one of them has a different characteristics in a different location. There were lots of errors in the data submitted. So I want that whole schedule analyzed, put on a dashboard in front of me, so that I'm not doing kind of the dirty job of this one has an error, that one has an error, which one is in a flood zone, which one is susceptible to fire, which one has a history of burglary, etc., etc. So all of this I want in front of me. Hopefully the data augmentation already happened in the background, so the additional data from, I don't know, places like Hazard Hub is already pulled across. So I know as I said, I know my flood zone, I know my crime rating. And as an underwriter, I have a single dashboard and I'm allowed to take decisions and make judgment calls.
So
that world doesn't exist, but
world.
that's the vision, right? That's the vision. That's where
we are hopefully heading, basically. Hopefully.
Well, hopefully. I mean, there's a lot of work between now and there. You know, I'll give you an example. I'll give you a couple of examples of failed initiatives. So, back to that McDonald's, right, property. So we've at one of my companies, Pro Global, we built a tool which wasn't generative AI. It was sort of an earlier version of AI for automatic cleansing of data, right? You wouldn't believe how many ways you can spell Massachusetts. There's many, okay?
I can only imagine.
So we built a tool that did 80% of the data cleansing, kind of caught the obvious errors and normalized the data and everything. But no one was interested, right? There was because it didn't solve the whole problem. It was just a point solution for a point problem. It says, maybe we could do, what does it do to me, right? Another good example, a friend of mine, a company I can't mention, but big London market company, they said, okay, we'll build a data augmentation for directors and officers insurance. So essentially, when you write directors and officers, they did search of all legal databases, are there prior lawsuits or prior history of the directors, etc. And the underwriters kind of said, yeah, but it doesn't really help me price this risk. It doesn't really rate this risk because it only got partial picture of the truth. It didn't have something, there are facts which are material, which are not in one of these databases. They were missed, okay? And there was a lot of issues with interpretation. So their underwriting didn't get any better, right? Yeah. Despite the company having spent a lot of time on this tool to search social, all the social databases. The problem is very, very difficult, and there has been many attempts. They are fragmented at point solutions rather than, as an underwriter, I live in this ideal world where I have everything in front of me.
And do you think that companies actually invest enough to be at this ideal version of?
They do invest, right? We all invest. So the companies where the broking companies invest, the insurance companies invest, the companies where I either advise or sit on the board. Everybody, it is on top of mind because everybody knows that those who get it right.
That's the area where they get the competitive advantage, right?
Yes, they will get those who get it right. It's an arms race, right? Exactly. Because the technology is such. When I was on the market reform group, technology wasn't ready, right? We were using something called RI3K, which eventually became obsolete. The technology wasn't ready. Now it is, right? So there's an arms race. So don't get me wrong, people are investing, but at least half of that money is wasted. Yeah. Right? It's like good old cliche about advertising. If I only knew which half is wasted, right? So that's what we're seeing here. So there's a lot of sometimes, but I mustn't, I need to protect the innocent. But sometimes I feel like there's a project for the sake of having a project.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
So the companies are investing, but a lot of the money is wasted, and the people who get it right first, will definitely gain competitive advantage. So for the earlier question, Eva, you asked me, how to get it right? So there's lots of point solutions, right? There's at least 5 competing workbenches. There are 5 competing rating engines. There are 5 competing solutions for geocoding. There's 5 competing solutions for data augmentation. But what is missing is integration, right? A good, what we call a good system integrator who says, well, I understand what components are available. How do I build APIs? How do I put it together to deliver a single answer in front of the underwriter that, I mean, in a sense, I know future processing, you do a lot of API work, a lot of work in that area. So I would encourage you to look at solving that problem.
Definitely.
The building blocks are there, but people haven't really figured out how to build a house from those building blocks.
At least. Okay, Artur, the final question will be for ChatGPT actually, and this is in reference to your vision that you set out. So let's see what Chat has to say.
What's the ChatGPT's vision?
Yes, exactly. In the Matrix world, I'm already scared a bit.
The Matrix world, yes.
Yes. What is the future of underwriters, considering the possibilities of AI augmentation?
The future of underwriters, bleak yet fascinating prospect. With AI augmentation, their role will evolve into a strange dance with machines. AI algorithms, like shadowy agents, will assist in data analysis, risk assessment, and decision-making. Underwriters will wield these digital tools, becoming masters of the matrix, but always with a hint of uncertainty lurking in the code. Yet, in this brave new world, underwriters must also guard against becoming obsolete, for the line between human judgment and machine precision will blur. It's a future where they must keep their wits sharp, harness the AI's power, or risk fading into digital oblivion, much like Neo's choice between the red and blue pill. The game has changed, but the players must adapt or face deletion.
Yeah, I kind of anticipated this new reference here. So Artur, do you agree?
Right, a bit scary. I like your matrix approach. What's the answer? I think, back to where we started, will AI replace, the underwriter or will it augment? I mean, the answer is very simple. I think it's a cliche by now, but it's been said many times. AI won't replace the underwriters, but the underwriters who use AI will replace those who don't. It's a cliche, but it holds more true today than even before.
Than ever, I would say, yes. Thank you, Artur, for sharing your insights with us today.
Thank you, Eva. Pleasure to be with you today.
And thank you, our audience, for listening to yet another episode of IT Insights InsurTalk by Future Processing. See you next time.
IT Insights talks on business and IT challenges with tech leaders. Visit us at itinsights.tech and dive into our podcasts, webinars, and events.